7 Extra.
Good evening, I'm Saul Sainz, and this is ABC-7 Extra Sunday edition. It's been months since thousands of Borderlands students have seen the inside of a classroom because of COVID-19. But the possibility of returning to in-person instruction seems inevitable. Much has changed since we first visited the topic of returning to classrooms, primarily the release and arrival of the COVID-19 vaccine. Health experts have said it'll be safe to return to classroom when hospitalization rates dropped under 20%. Governor Greg Abbott says teachers must be vaccinated in order to keep students and staff safe. But that has yet to happen. So what needs to happen for students to safely return to school? And what are school districts doing differently since we last spoke to make sure safety protocols are being followed? I will ask my guest. Tonight, we have a full house. Representatives from all 4 major Borderlands school districts are joining us to let you, our viewers, know what they're doing to make sure students return safely to the classrooms. Carla Gonzalez is the Associate Superintendent of Academics and School Leadership with the El Paso Independent School District. Maribel Macias is the Assistant Superintendent for Administrative Services with the Socorro Independent School District. Karen Trujillo is the Superintendent with Las Cruces Public Schools, and Langley Leeper is the Chief Financial and Operations Officer with the Xtra Independent School District. Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to start with all of you, primarily with El Paso Independent School District. Let's talk about what's being done now in preparation for the arrival of students.
Well, in actuality, we've been preparing for many months because we've had quite a few starts and stops where we thought we would be rolling back in. And once as a region, Region 19, we established through the city and the health department, the red, the orange, yellow, and green zones, we were able to be planning a little bit more strategically based on what our hospitalizations looked like. But we have been preparing for quite some time, making sure our desks, our classrooms, our social distance, even our cafeterias, our libraries, our seating, indoor, outdoor facilities, that we are prepared for that social distancing, that we have our kiosks, our temperature taking, every entrance into our buildings, even buildings that are more related to central office staff. Everyone has to follow the protocols of having temperatures taken. Students will have the same. Masks, they're non-negotiables. The entire time we're on in a classroom, masks will be required of all of our students, our staff, our visitors. It's just we cannot take a risk on the safety of our staffs, and most certainly the safety of our students. We're excited to be looking forward to finally having them back in with us. We have had small groups since November when we were in what's considered a red zone. We had learning pods. So we had small groups to prepare in terms of, are our protocols tight enough? Do we have the buildings absolutely ready? What are our responses when we do have a COVID positive test, whether it's a student or a staff member on campus? How do we respond? So we've had a lot of trial runs with smaller groups, and I think all of us are very confident that we're ready to bring back a lot more of our students, up to 50% of our students in the orange zone later this month. And we're really excited to have everybody back. And we do feel like, it's safe and we're ready to learn together again.
Ms. Leeper, what's YSD doing?
Ms. Gonzalez did a great job of talking about social distancing, the use of masks, desk dividers, screening every day. One additional thing that I think Xtra has implemented very well is the Binax Now rapid testing. And so we will continue that, knowing that not everyone is willing to get the vaccine, and it may take some time for all of the people who want it to actually receive it. So in addition to that, we are going to continue the use of the Binax Now rapid test with students who have parent permission, along with all of the adults who are willing to go through the testing each day.
Ms. Macias, what's SISD doing?
Yes, I think we're all on the same page. We really thank our local health authority. They've truly given us guidance from the beginning. We too have had students on campus since September, again, following Dr. Ocaranza's guidance to bring them in after Labor Day. We have our learning pods. Every single classroom is social distance. If you walk into any school, you could see the safety protocols. You know exactly what to do. The rapid test has been a game changer. So that's something that what we've done is we have a 4-step process. Individuals that volunteer, they get an online training, then they personally come and do a rapid test themselves. That way they know exactly what they're doing. Then what they do is they become facilitators. And at this point, every single campus will be a test facilitating site for the rapid test. That way it's offered. It's not mandatory. It is truly voluntary. but it's a game changer. We are actually testing once a week for those that want the rapid test. And I call them mutants. We're able to identify our mutants. They're able to be quarantined. And truly, whenever anybody unfortunately undergoes or is exposed to COVID-19, they don't do it on purpose. They do not want to impact anybody else. It just happens. But if we're able to identify them, their family is very blessed and thankful because they could stop the spread. And then, of course, here on campus, we mitigate the spread of that virus. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So truly, it's been that team approach. Again, thank you to Dr. Ocaranza, Local Health Authority. They also included us in the vaccine task force. Mm-hmm. So many of us are starting to work in collaboration with entities in El Paso, for example, the Children's Hospital with Immunize El Paso. I know our employee health clinic also will be receiving a shipment of vaccines. So we're starting to identify our Tier 1As, our Tier 1Bs. That way, whenever vaccines come in, we help them. Again, here in El Paso, we're Team SISD Strong. We help each other. And that way, when the vaccines are here, we'll be able to help to get, we have the constituents that want them, we'll be able to help get them the people so that they could vaccinate them. So I know that I've worked with many of these amazing leaders on this call. So thank you for what you all do to make us all safe during these times.
Dr. Trujillo, I want to make sure that we give you the same amount of time that everyone else does. So we're going to take a really quick break. And when we come back, I'll start with you so you can let us know exactly what Las Cruces is doing. Okay?
Great. Thank you.
You're watching ABC-7 Extra. When we come back, we'll talk vaccines. The governor says teachers should get vaccinated against COVID-19. I'll ask my guests if any preparations are being made for their teachers to get vaccinated. You're watching ABC-7 Extra, where news comes first.
A spark of light can become a beacon of hope, just like your plasma. Donate your plasma to help save lives. When you give your light, it shines on all of us. Find a Griffel Center at griffelsplasma.com.
Mom and Dad bought a sweet new ride with a great low rate thanks to a GECU auto loan. Mom got to drive it. Dad got to drive it. Even my sister got to drive it. When is it going to be my turn? What? You're letting him drive? Oh, come on.
Get pre-approved for your low-rate auto loan or refinance today. But hurry, sale ends January 20th.
When big news breaks.
A rare and exclusive look inside Del Sol Medical Center.
There's nothing like ABC-7 Extra, the Borderlands one-of-a-kind resource for deep dives into our most critical issues.
Very safe. Do they go to the emergency room or immediately up to ICU?
They go to the emergency room.
Context, depth, perspective from experts, policymakers, and community leaders.
I believe that we've been able to enhance our supply chain.
ABC-7 Extra, Sunday nights at 10:35, only on ABC-7, where news comes first.
El Paso, your food bank needs you now. The El Pasoans Fighting Hunger Food Bank needs volunteers to assist and distribute boxes of food for seniors, children, and families. You can also donate money. Each dollar provides 7 meals. Volunteer, donate, call. El Paso, your food bank needs you now. Learn more about the El Pasoans Fighting Hunger Food Bank at 298-0353. The El Pasoans Fighting Hunger Food Bank, 298-0353. Online at elpasoansfightinghunger.org.
You have a special light to give. Donate your plasma to brighten the lives of patients around the world, especially now. Give your light. Donate plasma. Find a Griffel Center at griffelsplasma.com.
Welcome back to ABC-7 Extra. I also want to welcome back Carla Gonzalez. She's the Associate Superintendent of Academics and School Leadership with the El Paso Independent School District. Maribel Macias is the Assistant Superintendent for Administrative Services with the Socorro Independent School District. Karen Trujillo is the Superintendent with Las Cruces Public Schools. And Lindley Leeper is the Chief Financial and Operations Officer with the Isleta Independent School District. Dr. Trujillo, I want to start with you. Las Cruces is doing so much. I know that we didn't get a chance during our first segment, but if you can tell us what Las Cruces Public Schools is doing in preparation for the arrival of students.
So thank you so much for that opportunity. And it was interesting to listen to our 3 other district leaders and see essentially the preparation being the same, but the stark contrast with what we are allowed and able to do. So I know in El Paso and in Texas, you do have the 4-tier system. In New Mexico, we have a 3-tier system. And essentially, in order to be able to come back in a hybrid setting or up to that 50%, we have to be in a green zone as a county. So that does not just manage Las Cruces, but also Gadsden and Hatch schools, along with all of our charter schools. Right now, we're most definitely in the red. In order to get to green, it's a 5% positivity rate and a less than 8 person per 100,000 positive test rate, which is very, very high in terms of the requirements. However, where you have like a Get Back to Green campaign, really trying to get the community around supporting our students so that we can get back to the classroom. That being said, same idea with the temperature checks, the protocols, the social distancing. We do have the capacity to have small groups of special education students, some high school students, and then early education students. So we will potentially start that on the 19th. That's the plan. We did have some starts and stops again with our small pods, but at this point, that's what we're allowed to do is the small pods of students in a ratio of 5-to-1. So we will continue to do that beginning on the 19th. Installing MERV filters, the MERV 13 filters across the district. We received, thankfully, we ordered them early, so we did get our shipments, and we're trying to get that up and ready to go, along with all of the other safety protocols. Surveillance testing for our staff, 10% of our staff a week has to do the surveillance testing. We don't have the capacity right now to do the rapid tests, but I will definitely be calling one of you so that we can get that in play as well.
I want to continue with you, Dr. Trujillo, because before we went to break, we talked about the vaccination. Some teachers, are they being vaccinated right now as we speak?
So thank you so much for asking that. And what we're really trying to advocate for is using the term school employees eligible for vaccination, because for every one teacher, there's 4 to 5 different support staff around them. So it really is all school employees that we're advocating that are eligible for the vaccination and not just designating for teachers only. At this point, the only staff that we've been able to offer the vaccine to are our school nurses, health assistants, and athletic trainers, because they're considered that front line. I was just on a phone call with a local health leader to try and figure out how we can move educators or school employees up on that eligibility ladder for receiving the vaccine. And so we're hopeful that that will be something that will come forth over the next couple of weeks.
Ms. Gonzalez, is the EPISD doing anything to vaccinate teachers? We do know we got that order from Governor Greg Abbott to have teachers vaccinated. What is the EPISD doing?
Well, we have applied to become a provider for the vaccines. We're waiting to hear back on that. But just as Socorro mentioned, we're very, very grateful to our partners in our medical community here in El Paso. Children's is going to be covering the vaccinations for our school nurses. We're so thankful. UMC has shared with us as of today, they'll work with us to ensure that our employees, similar to Las Cruces, it's our employees, because so many of our employees work directly with students who are 65 and older. We're needing to work within the guidelines of who is considered 1A at this point, but we're very, very grateful that our medical community is going to be able to offer those vaccines that they have available to our employees. Again, those that are 65 and older, and then our nurses, children's are going to help us with that. And as was mentioned, we do have the rapid testing, but it's not the vaccine. I mean, we certainly have other things in place that have been mentioned, but we're very anxious for the vaccines. We know everyone would feel much more comfortable. But we are encouraging, please go to EP Strong, get on the list, whether you're over 65, whether you have underlying health conditions, get yourself in a queue, talk to your own doctor or your family physician about the opportunities to get that done. We would hope to provide it soon, but we know, we're waiting. We don't have anything solid that we could be a provider that could help cover that for all of our employees at this time.
Ms. Lieber, YISD?
Pretty much the same boat. We are encouraging those who are in groups 1A and 1B to work with their providers to get the vaccine now. Even though there has been talk about educators becoming frontline employees, which we all believe they are, there's been talk about it, but it hasn't actually rolled out. So in the background, we're ready to administer. We're ready to roll it out. We have a plan. We're just waiting on our allocation. Much like my peers, our school nurses should be vaccinated by El Paso Children's probably this weekend. And then we have a limited amount for other frontline workers like the athletic coordinators, therapists, others who have direct contact with students. So we're all anxiously awaiting the opportunity to ensure that all of our frontline educators are being vaccinated.
Ms. Macias, I also want to give you equal time, but I'm going to have to do that after the break now that we can actually see you better. So we're very anxious to hear from you, but we'll do that after the break. You're watching ABC-7 Extra. If you were a parent, or in my case, a grandparent, who sat by students struggling with virtual learning, you know the frustrations associated with virtual learning. What have we learned from virtual learning? I'll ask my guests when we come back.
No matter what your business is, you want it to be a success. As the expert on what your business needs to succeed, it's time to take your marketing into your own hands. Achieve your business goals with the tools at Local Links. Craft effective, powerful videos and commercials. And learn the secrets of great advertising so your message reaches your most valuable customers. Do it yourself with Local Links. 360-degree marketing solutions to power your success.
Visit borderlandlocallinks.com.
Boom or bust, bull or bear, high or dry. Tough times aren't anything new, but we've gotten through them before, and we'll do it again. COVID put us all in a bad spot, but we've got to get back to work. The whole state depends on us. We have a job to do, and getting tested means getting back to work faster. Get started at togethernm.org/job-to-do.
Great American Steakburger is El Paso's original steakburger restaurant, providing outstanding food and service based on the tradition of our founders since 1985. Our 2 locations on the east side at Yarborough and Montwood and on the west side at Mesa Hills near Sunland Park Mall have on-site, hand-cut, aged choice steaks, as well as an amazing selection of delicious seafood and, of course, our signature steak burgers. Dine in our family-friendly atmosphere or order to go and enjoy your favorite meal at home. Enjoy your next meal out with the Great American Steakburger family, El Paso owned and operated for over 35 years.
2021 just got bigger at Oscar Leaser's Hyundai of El Paso, with bigger incentives and bigger savings on hundreds of new Hyundais. Kick off 2021 with a new Hyundai with no payments for 5 months. That's no payments for 5 months. Plus save thousands with 0% financing for 72 months. And new 2021 Konas and 2021 Sonatas, your choice, $199 a month. New year, bigger savings at Oscar Leaser's Hyundai of El Paso.
Welcome back to ABC-7 Extra. Joining us is Carla Gonzalez with EPISD, Maribel Macias with SISD, Karen Trujillo with Las Cruces Public Schools, and Lindley Leeper with YISD. We left off with you, Ms. Macias. Tell us what about vaccines for your school district.
Yes, we're working with some great partners. Right now, we're working with Immunize El Paso so that we could get our 1A individuals qualified. Just like we mentioned, we don't want to put them in categories. It's truly if it meets the needs so that we could hopefully open up schools safely. So with that, our phase 1A employees working with Immunize El Paso, they will be doing a closed pod for us tomorrow. And that'll be, just like you all mentioned, our nurses, that'll be some of our students, our special ed staff that are our therapists. And I'll just go through there. So I know that it's so important that we work together. And just kudos to Immunize El Paso for working with us. El Paso Children's Hospital also coming on board. And this is a long run. I know that we started off working with phase 1A. I know we're getting ready for phase 1B, as you all mentioned, 65 and older, and any underlying health condition. So what we're doing is we're getting the data ready. That way, if anybody's ready to give us the vaccines, we'll have the information for you and help register. And if they need help with traffic or any other items that we know that we have support to do, that's what we're doing here in Team SISD to help our our community.
Dr. Trujillo, as I mentioned before we went to break, I'm a grandparent, and I've sat along my granddaughter, Zara, and it's always a struggle, especially when we have Wi-Fi issues. What are we learning, Dr. Trujillo, about virtual learning, and how long will it be around?
So I think it's inevitable that virtual learning is going to be a key component from now until forever. I mean, really, there are a lot of students and families that prefer, believe it or not, like this method of delivery for information. So, you know, we're really looking at how do we continue to offer that opportunity and that option, not only for middle school and high school, which we have had for many years, but really taking that down to kindergarten through 12th grade and offering an online option in perpetuity. So kind of saying, like, what is that going to look like? What kind of staff do we need? What kind of support do we need to build around that? The other piece is we don't ever want to think about, oh, when are we going to get back to normal? Well, we're never going to go back to the way that it was, and it would be a shame if we did. We really do have to take all of the wonderful things that we've learned, the new skills that we've built up, not only in our teachers and our staff, but in our students, and that idea of there's many different ways of learning, and it should be building those lifelong learners where they're able to look at learning doesn't happen between 8 and 3:30. It happens all day, every day for the rest of your life, and trying to figure out what are the best practices, what can we move forward, how can we take some of the lessons that we've learned. You know, for those of us who've been in education, like all of us here for a very long time, when computers first came in and teachers first got their emails and we were trying to integrate technology as a learning tool in every classroom, and how difficult that was. But now we were forced to do it. So teachers now have this entire new bag of tools to take from, and one-on-one initiatives that we couldn't have afforded before, that now, okay, well, this is just our new reality. So trying to figure out how do we take those best practices and continue to move them forward.
Ms. Gonzalez, and again, I have to use my granddaughter as a point of reference, but every time that I sit in front of the computer with her, it feels surreal. It feels like some futuristic sci-fi movie. That's something that we watched before, and now it's actually happening. Ms. Gonzalez, what have we learned from virtual learning, and how long do you think that we're going to keep this around, just like Dr. Trujillo said?
I do, echoing what she said, I think we will keep aspects of it forever. I think if you look, there's so many online college programs now. I think it's a skill our students are going to need to have. But one thing we've learned, and as you said, your granddaughter, I'm not sure her age, but the younger the child, the more difficult this is. Okay, she's a youngin'. She's, you know, it's hard to be on a screen, even a high schooler, to be expected to be on a screen for 6-7 hours.
And maintain that attention span too.
Exactly. And so it's about designing lessons that can engage students without them having to be on screen all of that time. And it's giving teachers that permission to be able to back away and say, okay, you're going to have 20 minutes. I want you to work on this on your own, and then log back in or jump back into the main room. It's learning how to collaborate, how to do those small group instructions that kids really enjoy virtually, and being able to have those systems and structures in place so kids take advantage of that and grow from it. Right. But the screen time is definitely something that, you know, just how to design lessons that will engage students, so that they won't just turn it on, put on their name instead of their video, and then we don't know, they're not engaged, they're not interacting. And so designing for that, and also being sensitive to that we have to build rapport in this environment. You know, our kids are isolated. A lot of them are suffering from the loss of friendships and those interactions. Our teachers are suffering from that too. We're educators because we like to be together and we like being with our kids. And so that has been a struggle, and something that we'll continue to build in. That social emotional learning is a critical part of the virtual world. One thing I do want to mention just so quickly, so that parents who are watching this, when we do get back into buildings, as we're all mentioning, there's still that virtual option. Right. It was mentioned, some of our families and our kids are doing great on this, and they will have that ability to stay virtual for the remainder of the semester, I believe probably for all of us, until we know that we are truly on the other side of the COVID world. So I don't want parents to be concerned that they've been in surveys and they selected virtual. Virtual will happen through the remainder of this semester, 100% if that's what they choose. But we are able to bring kids back in that would like the face-to-face option. But we still have both of those happening, and it probably will stay in some part at every level, even in 21 to 22 school year.
Okay, Ms. Gonzalez, Ms. Leeper, Ms. Macias, and Dr. Trujillo, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us and educating our viewers so that they know what to expect, not only when kids return to school, but obviously teachers being vaccinated and the future of virtual learning here in the borderland. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. I'm Saul Sainz, and this has been ABC 7 Extra Sunday Edition. Good night y buenas noches.